What's going on, guys? What is going on? It's Liberty Madison. I am here. I'm live. I wanted to do a quick chit chat and talk about a couple of things from joining me on the 28th, July 28th, for a live with Brendan Boyd. Y'all, I signed to a record label. That's basically what happened. And I'm super excited. They are bringing out the A-team to talk about podcasting, to talk about everything that encompasses a podcast. They're talking about it. And I'm excited to join them and see what's going on with them. I also wanted to come on and answer any questions that you had about podcasting and also talk about my new stance on podcasting. Hey, what's up, Coraline? Welcome. About my new stance on podcasting. You guys have heard me for years talk about the importance of podcasting. Seriously, podcasting, if you don't know, is the number one way to reach anyone 40 and under. If you're looking to get your message out, your brand out, product rollout, music, whatever it is, it incorporates a podcast strategy. That's just what it is. That's just what it is. But one thing that I think I myself have been guilty of telling people, you need to start a podcast. I'm going to say this. Come here. Get in here. Get in here real quick. This is a really bold statement. It's bold. It's out there. It is what it is. You do not need to start a podcast. I'm sure you've been hearing me say that a lot. You do not need to start a podcast. Do not start a podcast. You don't need to. You don't need to do that. What you need to do is become a professional podcast guest. That's what you need to do. You don't need to eliminate podcasts as a whole, as a genre, but you don't need to start a podcast. You don't need to do that. Starting a podcast can be time consuming, very heavy, very intricate, so many things. And comment below. Hey, what's up, Jordan? Comment below if you've ever said to yourself, oh my God, I wish I had a podcast. I wish I had a podcast. Hey, what's up, Roy? Welcome, welcome. Good to see you. Comment below. I'm talking about my new positioning on the fact that you do not need to start a podcast. You've heard me talk about this. You've probably seen it in the notes on IG. It's a bold statement and I'm standing behind it. You do not need to start a podcast. You need to become a professional podcast guest. And let me tell you why. Podcasting is the number one way. It's the number one medium to reach anyone 40 and under. That's it. It's podcasting. We already know the power of media, but we can get into a whole topic of why podcasting is number one, but it is number one. If you want to do a product rollout, reach an audience, deepen your relationship, strengthen your audience, and really build a movement, it's going to be podcasting. But this is the thing. Ask yourself this. I don't even need to ask you. You ask yourself this. Have you ever thought to yourself, oh my God, I want a podcast? You've been thinking that for the past 6 years. 7. Come on now, 8. You've been thinking that for the past 8 years. However, if someone walked up to you and was like, Jordan, hey girl, could you be a guest on my podcast? And somebody was like, Roy, would you like to be a guest on my podcast? You know what you don't have to do? Think about it. Your immediate answer is yes. Your immediate call to action is get on the darn podcast. You're still going to get, am I right? Come on. Let me know. Am I right? Yes. That's the immediate response is, it's so easy to be a guest. It's so easy. Oh, Jordy, you're bringing up some really interesting talking points about how easy it is to be a guest. Wait a minute. Coraline wants to come in. Coraline, let me know if this is you. Message me. Let me know if it's you to make sure that you're not hijacking or somebody is not coming in on your behalf. But if it is you, of course, I will let you in. Let's talk about what Jordan just said about it's so easy being a podcast guest. That you just opened up so much. We're going to be on here for a little minute. I'm going to condense it. Don't you worry. It is easier than starting your own podcast. Being a podcast guest is definitely easier than starting your own podcast. But Jordan, I wouldn't say it's easy being a podcast guest. It's not easy being a podcast guest because oh, hey, my friend. Hey, what's up? Hey, coming in from California. It's not easy being a podcast guest because you want to be a memorable, unforgettable, dynamic podcast guest that's invited to podcasts. And a lot of people aren't. Unfortunately, they're not. And let's see. yes, it's easier than starting your own podcast for sure. That's why you want to go on a podcast press tour. You want to do that. However, oh, yes. You got to tune in because we out here in these streets talking about technology and all of the wonderful things. And right now, the interesting part of technology that technology has unlocked for the entire world is access to media. And that particular genre and platform is podcasting. And we're talking about what it looks like. but not answer. Sorry guys, I was getting a call, but I sent it away. So we're good. But hold on 1 second, you guys. Hold on. Oh, that's Corlin. That is you. I didn't see your text message, Corlin. Okay, 1 second. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Okay. All right, guys, we're back. We're talking about the difference and why it's so important that I am positioning, and you guys have heard it, you've seen it on my notes. You do not need to start a podcast. I know it's bold, but I'm saying it. You do not need to start a podcast. What you need to do is become a professional podcast guest. And Jordan was just talking about some of the things that was easier to be a podcast guest than to start a podcast. Let's talk about that for a minute, because one of the things that she just said was it's easier and it's free. This is where we're going to get into some interesting things. Did you know that it's typically not free to be on a podcast? Did you know that? People pay a ton of money to be on podcasts. I was talking to a friend of mine last night, and get this, he had no idea. He didn't know. He had no idea that people paid a ton to be on podcasts. There's a few exceptions as to when you don't pay to be on podcasts. You either have to be extremely fascinating or interesting, or I do that because there's a pool of us. You, me, there's a pool of us. We're fascinating, interesting people. We are attention grabbers. We're storytellers. We're going to show up and show out. Most people aren't like that. It's a lot of work for the podcast host. So they're like, you need spec. And the other aspect of that, for example, if we're talking about the whole CEO situation that's happening right now, they don't have to pay to be on anything. Everybody is vying for their attention and wanting them to be on these particular podcasts. But when we're talking about the other, Josh said, how do you know if you're extremely fascinating? I'll tell you. I'll let you know if you're extremely fascinating. Let me see. I will review your interview. And let me see how you act on camera. Because I do offer that. If you don't know, I do corporate training, corporate communication training. Sometimes I call it media training, but in other instances, I do not. I call it communications training. So I'm working with C-level executives, helping them prepare for stages, product rollout pitches, writing speeches, giving them sound bites, everything that's going to make them stand out in media, which the number one form we're talking about, if you want to reach anyone under the age of 40, is going to be podcasting. That's what it's going to be. Okay, so let's get back to what we're talking about, how you don't want to start your own podcast, which you do eventually. But like I said, I want you to ask yourself this. How long have you wanted to start a podcast? Most people, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 years, 6 years, 7, 8, you 8 years deep on wanting to start a podcast. Come on, you're 8 years deep and want to start a podcast, but you're typically, if somebody says, hey, would you like to be on a podcast? You are ready and prepared. You see the difference? So you don't need to start a podcast. Let's talk about being a professional podcast guest. All right, so now that you are in the mindset of being a podcast guest, you can't just go on and be a guest on a podcast. Let me tell you why. You need a strategy. Why are you a guest on this podcast? Did you know, you can do a whole product rollout, whole press tour. You can do all of these things if you have a strategy as a professional guest. Let me see. How did I do when math? That's funny. Hey. Wait, did I get it? Corlin, did you send me another request? Let me know, because it scrolled by. I don't know. Let me know. If you send me a request, I'll let you in the live. So let me know if you send me a request. Okay. So to that point, you'll hear me saying this. You've heard me say it on LinkedIn. You've heard me say it on TikTok. You've heard me say it in real life. Do not start a podcast. You don't need to start one. What you need to do, if you are a professional, if you are a thought leader, if you are a C-suite executive, if you are a business owner, you don't have time for none of this. At least at first, okay? At least at first, let's get you on podcast and be a guest. Here, send the request again. Because hey guys, I'm gonna let Corlin come in. He sent me a request. And if you guys know Corlin, he is always out here in these Austin streets and Houston as well. And he does a lot of video, and he's at Foundry Media. And if you look at my Pop the Balloon Tech Edition, we collaborated on that, and he came out to Houston and we shot that at Afrotech, and we shot a number of things together. So he's gonna pop in. I don't know why I don't see a request here. 1 second. Let me see. Oh, okay, hold on. So we should see that. Josh, and Josh, to your point, as far as us meeting in person, Josh, we met at South by EDU. I would say you're pretty fascinating and exciting. Agreed on joining, not starting. Yes. Hey, Colin, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for coming
How
on
do I
to this
how do I
live.
sound? How do
You
I
sound great.
sound?
I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Because I got my little mic system going on, production.
Okay. Always production vibes with you. I'm so happy to see your smiley face. Welcome,
Yeah, no,
welcome, welcome. What
thank you
made you
for
want to
having
pop
me.
into the live?
I mean, we talking podcasts. Like this is something you and I are always constantly talking about, and this conversation we've had before. So I figured why not, if you had me, give another side of the coin as well as, co-sign a little some of the things that give you a little
Yeah,
co-sign.
go ahead. Yeah, we would love to hear your thoughts, Corley.
No, so in regards to the guest piece, 100% agree, right? Um, But I feel like some people they want to do their own podcast so they can, it's like as their proving ground if they're comfortable with being in front of the mic. Because some people are great public speakers, terrible if you put a big mic in front of their face. Like it's a real thing. I'm like, it's the awkwardness of some people like can't handle like I don't know what the term is, but like, you start sticking stuff in people's faces like, ah,
But you know what? You're bringing up a really good point, and that's where I come in as far as
yeah.
a professional executive media trainer. And a lot of the times, people don't think of podcasting as media. So depending
Correct.
on the audience, is when I say communications training, or if I say
Hmm.
media training, or if I say speech training. It's exact same rollout, and exact same curriculum, and exact
And
same
for the
experience, but different language.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, communications training and media training, it's all just it's PR training for like the most common term. If you want to say like this is how you navigate public relations, that's what Liberty does for you. So if you have not hired anybody, or if you're desiring to, Lib is the person to get to. All right.
Look at that. I did not pay him to come on and
Ah,
say that at
I
all.
mean,
I did
which is
not even
literally
expect him
something.
to come in.
I mean, I get the notifications. I was like, oh, my girl is live. What? I haven't seen her face in a minute. Like this is like low key my first like time seeing you in like what about a month and a half. So I was like, why not?
Oh my
Why not?
gosh. I love that. Thank you so much. It's one of the things that if somebody's following me online and you see the notes, I posted hire a professional trainer prior to going on podcast. And I got so many comments on it, kind of to what you're saying, Corlin. People say, "Oh yeah, let me be a guest on this podcast," and they don't prepare. They don't prepare to be
That
a
part.
guest on the podcast.
That part.
Tell me your
And
thoughts.
oh, oh man. During the headlights, stumbling over words, right? Can't complete complete sentence or a thought, like, and not in a way like, oh, like I'm nervous, like they go blank because they're not used to being asked a question or having to structure a question outside of the gist of a normal conversation, right? And most even, but this is how the clients I've had, because Liberty mentioned I work in the production space, but also I'm a director for podcasts and other media outlets, media services as well. And I tell them, I'm like, okay, first of all, talk to me like you would have a normal conversation. You don't have to be in a space where overthinking is your primary enemy in that space, right? That's what a lot of people do, and that's the biggest piece. And that's
Hmm.
where training like that media Liberty offers comes into play. Like she kind of helps you get you into a space of, you know, this is how you approach this. Somebody asks you the question. This is how you're going to respond. Think about your response before you respond, so it doesn't seem like you're just rambling off at the mouth, right? So,
Thank you for that. That's absolutely right. As he mentioned, when your face, when I said not prepared for podcast was pretty funny. I'm gonna just say that your face was like, "Oh, I have seen it. We've all seen it, and unfortunately, we've all heard it."
we've
And
seen it
one,
and heard it now because now more video podcasts exist than ever. So, like,
mm-hmm,
there's a more than likely you're being recorded in some video faction if you're on a podcast or radio interview or whatever it might be.
100%, 100%, 100%. And one of the things that I say, and I know this too because I know your clientele, Corlin. I tend to work with professionals and leaders, thought leaders, and people that are extremely ambitious and moving something powerful in the world. And one of the things, the easiest way, I will say this, and let me know how you think about this. The easiest way to limit or discredit yourself is to be unable to pronounce and complete a sentence or come out with the ums and ahs. You could be a scientist, you could be extremely far along in your career, but if you cannot convey to the audience who you are, what you're up to, inspire, you discredit yourself instantly.
Mhm.
I've seen people that I truly admire, and then after I hear them speak on a podcast or after I hear them speak publicly or in general, I'm just like, oh my gosh. Mm.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
no, it's a thing. Like, it's definitely a thing. It's funny when we've been out on the streets and me and you are like recording, and I'm behind the camera and she might be interviewing, or I'm
Just for
prompting questions.
context, we do men on the street style content.
Yeah,
And when you see me on the street, maybe it's South by or whatever conference it is, and you see me right here with a little mic and I'm doing this, Corlin is behind the camera. So
yeah, yeah.
there you go.
So yeah, I'm behind the camera, and I'm also like when I'm miking people up, I'm coaching them. Like, she's going to ask you this. Like, take a second to breathe before you answer. Don't feel like you're being put on the spot, because she's not doing that. She's literally just asking you a direct question or things of that nature. And sometimes people don't know how to handle direct questions. And so they'll circle around the whole thing and they'll be like, and she's like, well, back to the question. Like, that's a whole thing. So having that professional presence when you're on an interview or on a podcast, like she's saying, um, makes you the better guest. Because then people will say, oh, Gary, folks in the community talk. So they're gonna say, yeah, such and such was on da 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 podcast. I saw that episode. By the fact, they killed that. Like, it seemed like everything was just flawless and seamless, right? But at the
Hmm.
same
Hmm.
time, you're looking at it as somebody. Sorry, got a notification. You're looking at it as somebody who is not. Hold on, chat was doing something weird on my screen. I'm working at the same time as we're having
No,
this
you
this
good.
conversation, as per the usual. But sometimes
Yes.
people are looking at what they're saying, but not how they're saying, or listening to what they're saying, but not how they're saying. And again, back to the terms of media training that Liberty talking about and being that professional guest, if you know how to answer a question on the fly and be concise in your thought pattern and in
Hmm.
your
It
speech
adds
delivery,
value.
it adds
Hmm.
value. And then people, when they talk, they're going to come and say, hey, you know what? I saw you on such and such. You want to come talk about the same thing on my podcast?
So,
And
Corlin,
then,
I want to get to that. When you say people will see you, they will see how engaging you were, and they
mhm,
will see how much value you added to their audience, well, to someone else's audience, and then they
mhm,
invite you on. We were talking earlier. A, a lot of people don't know that you have to pay to be on podcasts. Podcasts aren't free. They're
yeah,
just
for the
not
most part,
out here just, oh no, they're free. And one
especially
of
the
the things
popular
that I,
ones.
especially, and one of the things that I was talking about before is if you are dynamic, engaging, and adding value, you can eliminate and override some of those fees. So it
Mhm.
pays to be engaging.
Yeah, and then you'll get the invite, and they'll just bring you on, right? And they might give
Hmm.
you a small stipend at the back end.
Hmm.
So
Hmm. Yeah,
be
it
fun,
always
be
pays to
relatable, be
be a professional podcast guest.
yes. Okay.
Yes, I love that. So, okay, thank you so much for popping in.
All
We're going to
right.
let you get back to the rest of your day, but I want to tell you Thank you so much for all the work. If you guys are looking for anyone to follow you around, shoot your content, get you some shots of you being active, because you know my favorite is BTS. I love me some BTS, and
Keep you looking camera ready all the time. That's what I do.
if you need that, trust me, you need it. I'm telling you, you need that. Hit up Corlin. He is amazing. And not just amazing as an output, but just a dynamic human being to work with. Because sometimes I've hired so many camera people who I just may not click with as a person, or maybe they have all of these things that just don't work with me and my brand, because I'm a very clean brand. And so maybe they're doing all these things and I'm just like, oh my God, no. Corlin will show up, be professional, be on time, and make sure you look great. And this isn't a commercial, but you can use this as an ad,
Thank
Corlin.
you. Yeah, no, we might run this back, and then I'll have all my lights on and all the good stuff and get the whole studio vibes, give the people the show. But thank you for having me. I'm gonna get back to it. I got a number of things to get through, editing,
Okay,
letting things go, in the portals here. But
sounds
yeah,
good. All right. That was Corlin, guys. We appreciate him for popping in and stopping by. And we really wanted to spend this time talking about the importance of podcasting. You do not need to start a podcast. You don't need to start one. As we heard from Josh earlier, Josh said, I agree with you on joining and not starting one. And as Corlin mentioned, he said, some people just really want to start a podcast. And again, I'm not deterring you from starting a podcast. I'm saying that you can do that in the future. You can do that eventually. But your goal, the distance between you wanting to have a podcast, this is you wanting to have a podcast. This is you having a podcast. Do you see this? That's not the same. That's not the same. This is you wanting to be a podcast guest. This is you being a podcast guest. You see that distance? That distance in between is some training that I can help you with to help you be a dynamic podcast guest. Because one of the things that we know about starting a podcast and wanting to start a podcast and starting a podcast, people overthink. Corlin mentioned that earlier. Overthinking. What should my podcast be about? When do I shoot it? How do I shoot it? What equipment? How do I edit it? I don't have a team. I don't have a budget. I don't know what to say. Why am I? It's so many questions that go into it when we can get you there. I do podcast production. We can get you there. We can get you your podcast. If you really want a podcast, I can build a podcast for you that runs on autopilot. We don't have to do any of that stuff. However, even if you have your own podcast, expand your audience and expand your reach, I'm really going to lean in on the fact that you need to be a podcast guest. I'm really going to lean in on it. And when I think about it, hey, Big Thirsty, what's going on? How you doing? When I think about it, I think about who doesn't need to be a podcast guest. I don't know. I really don't. Comment below. Tell me. Because in my mind, everyone has something to say. If it's related to business, if it's related to a skill that they have, if it's related to maybe personal things that they like to do or activities, everyone has thoughts and has opinions. And again, it's the number one medium to get your product, your brand, your lifestyle, and also to connect with people. And I feel like with that being said, there's no reason to cross yourself off the list. Why would you cross yourself off the list? And I always say, this between me and you. Come on in here. Come in. This me and you. I always say, when you get on a podcast, you can send the link to your cousin who always got something to say. They always got something to say. And they always say, you're not doing this and you're not doing that. Are they on a podcast? And when you send it to your mom, and you send it to your mom, and they're going to be like, oh my God, everybody's going to be, oh my God, they're going to think you made it. Okay, that's just a side note. Because everybody's not on a podcast. You know where everybody is. And when your cousin has something smart to say about you, you're going to say, okay, I'm on a podcast and you're in the comments. What? No. You're in the comments coming for me. Where's your mic? What? So that's just a side note of the benefits of you being a podcast guest. Maybe you don't have those things in your life, but I know plenty of us who do. And all these people that got something to say about you not doing whatever you're supposed to be doing in life, they're not on a podcast. That's it. So if you have any questions, drop your comments below. What do you think? You agree? Because I know personally when I sent, because you shoot, any podcast. It doesn't matter which podcast, shoot any podcast. When you send it to your mom and when you send it to your cousins, they're going to be, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Mm-hmm. Now, when you go to the family reunion or when people are talking in the group chat, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, did you see such and such on the podcast? That can be you. And then they're going to ask you, and now you're a family celebrity. Because you don't have to be, because what's that saying? You don't have to be famous everywhere, but like in your neighborhood, you can be the fam. Now you have visibility in family. What you say holds weight now because you said it in front of a mic and they were able to share it. Okay, that could be you trying to help you live your life. So again, you do not need to start a podcast. You need to be a professional podcast guest. And what does that mean? That means being dynamic, being persuasive, being entertaining, and having a strategy that you can monetize and you can offer. You don't want to go on a podcast just to say, I want a podcast with a mic. But you can roll out your products, you can get sales, you can build leads, you can reduce your sales cycle by getting people to see you, visibility, know you, visibility, like you, visibility, trust you, visibility. Being on a podcast is exactly like having a full sales team that's working for you 24/7. It's better than AI agents. Matter of fact, you can set up your AI agents to handle your leads that you get from being on your podcast. One of the things that AI will never replace when you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I should do this, blah, blah, I don't know if I should be on a podcast. What about AI? I always tell people, AI is gonna take a job. No doubt about it. No doubt about that. That's gonna happen. But what it can't take your brand. I want you to focus on building your brand. How do you build a brand? Media. How do you have access to that in 2020, whatever? It's going to be through podcasting. It's the number one way to reach anyone 40 and under. It's going to be podcasting. You need a podcast strategy. You need a podcast go-to-market strategy that needs to be included as a touch point in your brand, business, lifestyle. Even if you're not a conglomerate, you're not out here raising VC and PE money, you need to have a podcast strategy because of this. Brand equity. Brand equity trumps everything. It is going to build the know, like, and trust. It's going to reduce the sales cycle. It's going to increase traction, reduce churn. It's going to do all of that. What you need to do is get comfortable doing one or the other. What did we just talk about? The distance between I want a podcast, the distance between I have a podcast, is too great. It's too great. We don't have time for this. It's too great. So we will leave that as a different milestone. That's a separate KPI. We need to move that over there. What we do here is we look at the fact that I want to be on a podcast because I think that's what we want to do. We want to be on a podcast. Why? Because we want to be seen? Maybe. And also, that's fine. Don't listen to people tell you that's not okay. That's okay. That's 100% okay if you just want to be seen. I got you. If you're thinking, no, I have a business. I have a car wash business. I have a truck business. I have an app. I have AI business. Whatever the business is, you need to be on a podcast so people can learn about it, so you can get podcast hosts to use it, so you can accelerate early adoption of your product and services. Hello, that's what you need to do. Again, podcast is not an opportunity to be like, oh my gosh, it's just people talking about dating and relationships. Let me tell you something. You sound like those people that go, I don't want any money. It's just people dealing drugs and getting prostitutions, doing blow-off hookers. I mean, sure. Why not? These are people out here doing blow-off hookers. Hey, money is used for that as well, but it's also used in a different form. Again, money is neutral. Podcasting is neutral. What you do with the space, what you do with the platform is you. That's what we're talking about. So again, we're not here to come up with a, blow-off hookers strategy. We're here to look at how you leverage this particular medium, which is the number one medium. Number one, across the board. Number one, the best to reach people 40 and under. Because that's what people are listening to. Sure, you can talk about dating relationships, but people want to know about you because AI is so prevalent, because AI will change the way you live, not just AI, but technology in general. It is going to be, it is going to be the difference between you, a brand. I'm telling you, as these robots get out here making these videos, what used to cost $8 million costs $18.50. And somebody in a back closet writes some codes. Brand is going to be your separator. That's your differentiator. It's going to be brand. I want to employ you to build your brand. Don't care what you do professionally, build your brand and build it with podcasting. I'm Liberty Madison. I am very pro podcaster. I support podcasters. I believe that podcasters are the future of journalism. However, as much as I support professional podcasters, there's another side to that coin. It's people want to be on podcasts. And again, if you have your hands full, you've got 3 children, a job, and just all this stuff, maybe you can't start that podcast right now. But you said you wanted a podcast 4 years ago. I am showing you a different way to get you in the spotlight without you taking on all of the work. Get you in the spotlight, get you in the seat, get you in the visibility without the hassle. Again, follow me for more. We're going to be talking about podcasting. We're talking about, and not podcasting specifically, start a podcast, because again, nope, you will hear me talk about, you do not need to start a podcast. Podcasting is neutral. What we do with that space, with that platform is what we're going to talk about. And I want to invite you. I want to invite you to think about yourself again in the group chat, your family. Like, oh my gosh, he's on a podcast. He was on a podcast. Okay, you want that. Because I mean, let's just face it. You're the family person who's like successful. You're doing your thing. You start your business. You're professional. You're probably in some professional role at a tech company or wherever. Talk about that. Again, you don't have to be an entrepreneur to be a guest on a podcast. I know you think you do. I know you think you got to be fixing credit in order to be on a podcast or talking about dating and relationships and 50-50 relationships. Matter of fact, we'll get into that later. If anybody wants to talk about dating and relationships, let me know. We'll be ready to go. But look at how you can leverage it to increase your visibility, and you get additional offers and additional insight that you can leverage. Let's just look at this, okay? You're on a podcast, then you can invite it to a stage. Now you're speaking in public. Maybe you want to speak at Afrotech or Blackstech or GDC or whatever conference or South by. You get that opportunity because people will see you. If you didn't know, this is going to be the last little tip I give you there. If you didn't know, when you apply to speak, let's just say you want to speak at South by, okay? South by Southwest. Don't you come out here saying SXSW. No SXSW. South by. If you want to speak at any conference, it could be South by, it could be Essence, it could be RSAC, whatever. It could be DataCon. They're going to say, can you send me a link? This is the people in the back. And this is the back of your Google Doc when you submit your form. Could you send me a link to your speaking? Can you send me a link to your podcast interviews? They ask for that. So you're going to let just no link, no speaking history keep you from speaking on stages? No. Become a professional podcast guest. Then when you apply to speak at these TED Talks, to speak at South by, to speak at all of these different places, you will have all of the material needed for successful and impactful EPK, which is electronic press kit. You will have everything needed to show one, I have visibility and reach. I'm not new, because no event organizer wants to put someone in front of a live audience that has no idea what they're doing in front of a live audience. They're going to hear all about it. They don't want that. So that's what they're doing. They're betting to make sure that you are capable to do what you need to do. So that's what I'm saying. Become a professional podcast guest. This way you have the opportunity. Hey, friend in Houston, what's going on? I popped the balloon, friend just popped in. Hey, friend. So that's what I want you guys to focus on. Again, you do not need to start a podcast. Do not start a podcast. Become a professional podcast guest. I can work with you on that, get you on some podcasts, but not just get you on, because again, I don't want you to think, you know what? Because you know how people think. I can get myself on podcasts. I don't care. I can get myself. Don't just, okay, if you decide to do that, if you're that guy, do not get on these podcasts without a strategy. I don't want you up here just talking. Yes, it's great that your cousin thinks you're on a podcast. I'm not even being flippant with that statement. I agree. Like, I love it when they're like, oh my God. Okay. However, I want you to make some money. And what I want you to do is have an actual strategy for whatever your business is, whatever your service is, and your business could be visibility. It doesn't matter, whatever your service is. I want you to have a plan. All right. There we go. Thank you so much. If you guys have any other questions or want to talk about technology or media, which in this case, we're talking about podcasting. Again, I'm Liberty Madison, that tech girl, and I live at the intersection of tech and media. And in case you did not know, I love technology. That's what I say all the time. Join my group. I have a group on here too that's called I Love Technology. And if you find me across the internet in any capacity, you'll see Liberty Madison, I Love Technology. And we talk about everything tech, from innovation, AI, to just so many things, data that I think personally impacts your day-to-day life. And if it doesn't impact your day-to-day life, it definitely prepares you for the future of where things are going. I feel like a lot of people spend time on where things are now, which I am starting to do. Because if you've been following me for any amount of time, I'm always 5-10 years out and ahead. And like, oh my God, Liberty, you said this a long time ago. But I'm starting to incorporate what's happening current day. So I'm excited about that too. And what's happening current day, and so if you have thoughts, messages, products, services, get it out with podcasting. In case you didn't know, I'm currently in Austin, which is the podcast capital of the country. Did you know that? Did you know that? In case you did not know that, I am currently in Austin, Texas, which is the podcast capital of the country. We've got Rogan, we've got Lex, we've got Cody, we've got a number of people that come out to Texas, say all sorts of stuff on a mic, gain some covering, and get out of here. That's what's happening in podcast land here in Austin, Texas. We'll see you guys another time. And thank you so much for spending your afternoon with me. And if you guys have any other thoughts, feel free to hit me up in the DMs. We'll chat soon. Bye.